Welcome aboard for this first September edition of Barnstable Today. Hello once again, I'm Kevin Friel.
A preview of this week's Town Council meeting is our top story. Thanks for joining us. I'm Len Gobiel.
We caught up with Assistant Town Manager Tom Lynch, and he brought us up to speed on this week's Town Council agenda. So, Tom, 2-a-month sessions with the Town Council have just started again, and our first session is coming up this Thursday, September 4th. What items will the Council be addressing this week?
Well, I think one item of particular is that Town Manager Klim has asked for some time right after public comment to discuss with the Council both issues that have been raised by the school department, budgetary issues that have been raised in their 2009 budget, as well as begin talking about 2010. As you know, the budget is almost a year-round endeavor that we're constantly working on. But with increased energy costs and just with other structural budget issues, the town manager wants to be able to talk to the council about where we're going to be with revenues and expenses.
Getting underway, the town council also has a couple initiatives that both affect the code of the town of Barnstable.
Yeah, they began in August, and they were talking about both the procedures for absentee members. There are some regulatory boards where if you're assigned to that particular case, if you miss one meeting of that, then you kind of off and you have to start all over. And so they're looking at a provision, I believe it's called the Mullen Rule, that other towns have adopted, and I'm sure there'll be discussion on that. And then there's a secondary item where they're dealing with interim appointments when there becomes a vacancy where you might be able to appoint someone on a board. But those will be both policy decisions for the councilors to pursue, and they began a little bit of discussion in August and is carrying over to this meeting on the 4th.
Clearly those two initiatives could possibly affect the efficiency
Yes.
of getting people in and through the workings of
Yes.
the town. So. Also, there are a couple other carryover issues from the August sessions that just didn't have enough time to get through those meetings.
Well, one was an appropriation from the Community Preservation Committee, where they were there's $108,000 that the Housing Authority has requested to purchase some inclusionary units over at the flagship condominiums, which are near the old Harry's there on Stephen Street. And in approving that request, there's a formula that's used to determine the price of the units for working families. And the Housing Authority actually purchased them and then rents them to working families. And Councilor Crocker and others raised some issues around the condominium fees and the affordability of the units long term. And there was some very important questions raised, and I know that growth management, the growth management department and the Housing Authority are trying to get those answers so they can come back and try for that appropriation. And then new on the agenda is a transfer of funds from a sidewalk account that was created a couple of years ago, and there were 3 projects designated from that account, and all 3, one over at Sandy Neck, one on Wayano Ave in Osterville, and the Stevens Street sidewalk project, came in under bid and are going to be completed. There's some additional money that the town council could continue with sidewalk issues, or, as is being suggested, do repairs to the West Bay bulkhead. That has been in disrepair, really been deteriorating since 1996. Temporary repairs done, but now there are sinkholes and it hasn't been used because of safety reasons for over a year. So there's the hope that the transfer will take place there and this work could get done.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Tom.
All right, I appreciate it, and then look forward to the agenda on the 4th.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
This past week, Jim Benoit, Program Coordinator of the GIS Department, dropped by the Town Hall studio to enlighten us on the activity going on in the world of the Geographic Information System.
I guess what it comes down is your main product, maps. Is that your main product, or what is your main product?
Pretty much the end product of what we do is a printed map, sometimes a report or a list, usually map.
And you provide these for various committees, boards, organizations here within the town framework?
Yeah, pretty much every single town department to some extent uses GIS. We also produce maps for the public and outside agencies on request, but mostly town departments.
How many people in your department?
2 full-time right now.
And you've been there for quite a while yourself?
Yep, I've been there since about 1995 or so.
And what's the history of the GIS department? That's been around even, it predates your involvement.
Yeah, it began probably 1988 or 89. They initially came up with the funding for it, which I think was around $1 million at that time. And the bulk of that money is to actually create the data, the mapping data. So that happened about 1989, and then they hired a full-time GIS coordinator at that time, and it went from there.
Now, I've seen at some of the meetings, some of your very detailed maps that you produced in your department. How do you do it? I mean, it's remarkable products you come up with, but I can't fathom how you get from point A to the finished product.
Yeah, a big part of it is just having the information in the system, a lot of the detailed mapping information. That's kind of the big challenge of what we do is keeping that information up to date. Everything from parcels to buildings, as new buildings are constructed in town, we keep track of that. Roads, wetlands, wildlife habitat, all kinds of things. Like the key to it is having the information available, and then making the map. It's usually just a matter of putting together different layers of information to fulfill the need that people ask for.
I see a lot of interesting images that you come up with too. Where do you get some of the actual photographic images you come up with as well?
Yeah, the photographs, a lot of them, the town contracts to have done. They fly probably every 6 or 7 years. We try to do it. Again, it started in '89. Did it again in '95, 2001. Just did one in 2008, which we haven't gotten back yet. And then there are other sources. The state does it. They fly photographs every, I'd say, 7 or 8 years. We get those. And then for older historical images, we have some going back to the 1930s and 40s and 50s that we got from federal government, USDA, I think it is. So it's kind of interesting to see how things have changed since like the 1930s up till the present.
Yeah, what are some of the distinctive changes you've noticed over that period?
Probably the biggest, most interesting thing to look at is the Route 132 corridor where the Cape Cod Mall is. If you look at that, like 1938, it's pretty much all woods, a couple ponds. I mean, there's nothing there. The roads, and that's about it. And if you kind of step through and look at 38, step through all of our photographs up to the current day, it's pretty striking.
Excellent. Jim, thanks very much.
Sure.
As we turn the calendar page to September, we find excellent weather today, the possibility of a thunder shower or storm tonight. Tomorrow we have a beautiful Cape Cod day on the horizon. It should be partly sunny with a high of 73.
On the meeting front today, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing beginning at 6:30 tonight in the Town Hall hearing room. Tomorrow night, the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission will meet in the school administration conference room. They'll be getting underway at 7 o'clock.
Don't forget, Barnstable Recreation has sign-ups for all of its fall programs beginning today. They have everything from martial arts to babysitting classes to flag football. Stop by the Recreation Department for full information.
Family Fun Day and Touch a Truck. One of the Recreation Department's fall special events is coming up this Saturday, September 6th, and that's going to be happening from noon to 2, and it will be at Veterans Park. There'll be a nominal fee. That's going to wrap up this edition of Barnstable Today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Len Gobiel.
We leave you today with some footage shot by our director, Kevin Foster, of the clamming class for kids. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. I'm Kevin Friel.